A jubilant Sasha embraces Heiss, overjoyed after receiving her Swordmaster blessing. She eagerly looks to him, confident they'll soon embark on grand adventures together. Her eyes shine with determination, knowing they are one step closer to fulfilling their shared dream. Heiss mirrors her resolve, focused on the future they have sworn to build. A flashback reveals a darker time, showing the two orphans mourning at their families' graves. He once vowed through tears to become strong enough to prevent anyone else from suffering their fate. This world's power system revolves around blessings, unique abilities granted by a higher power. Every child receives their blessing in a special ceremony upon turning 12. An official now summons Heiss, indicating his long-awaited turn has finally come. He reaches for the Tome of Blessings, the key to unlocking and understanding his own destiny. The tome's pages flip wildly, driven by his determination to fulfill their shared dream. He presses his hand down, ready to receive the power that will change their lives forever. But the blessing that appears is a strange, distorted one. Weapon Master. The Guildmaster peers over his shoulder, equally confused by the bizarre text. Heiss turns to the official for answers, but the man's expression is one of complete bewilderment. Even the experienced Guildmaster admits he's never seen anything like it, leaving them all stunned. Sasha realizes the horrifying truth. An unknown blessing is a useless one. 2 years later, a powerless Heiss serves as a porter, struggling under a heavy load for an adventuring party. The party's vice leader, Reynolds, smirks down at him, offering mock encouragement. Reynolds' condescending gaze reveals he's enjoying Heiss's struggle far too much. Sasha watches Heiss, trying to convince everyone, and herself, that she can still push forward. Reynolds sighs in annoyance, declaring a 30-minute break before they set out again. He cruelly points out that if Heiss collapses, the fighters will be stuck carrying his load. The other girls chime in, one offering a half-hearted suggestion, while the other openly mocks his lack of power. But Sasha, the team's leader, cuts in, reminding him their mission is vital for the clan's promotion. Heiss forces a smile, politely refusing the offer, and urging the archer to rest instead. The archer seems conflicted, knowing he's right about preserving her strength for battle. He remembers how the team grew around Sasha, with Reynolds condescendingly explaining his unusable blessing to the others. With a heavy thud, he drops his pack, reminded that 2 long years have passed since that fateful day. A diagram reveals the gap between them. Sasha is a powerful A-rank individual, while their team is stuck at B rank. Reynolds offers a condescending pat, telling Heiss to rest while the real fighters work. Heiss clenches his fist in silent fury, hating his role as a mere porter with a useless blessing. Reynolds saunters over to Sasha, asking about Heiss's condition with feigned concern. He confidently states they'll manage, but Sasha's determined expression hides a flicker of doubt as she confirms a difficult decision. The team stands before the ominous maw of a cave, the lair of their A-rank target. Sasha lays out the simple plan. She'll charge in first to engage the beast directly. She assigns the archer and another member to provide support from the flanks. Reynolds is tasked with guarding the rear, a smirk playing on his lips. The healer, Piazzolla, will also remain in the back, ready to mend any wounds. When Heiss asks for his role, Sasha delivers the final blow. He is to stay behind and do nothing. Sasha turns her back on Heiss, coldly confirming the mission will proceed without him. A flashback introduces Tycoon, a mage who once explained the basics of blessings and magical energy. His sage blessing makes him a master of support magic, a crucial asset to the team as they head out. Deep inside the cave, a monstrous queen cobra emerges from the darkness, its massive form filling the chamber. Unfazed, Sasha stands her ground, facing the colossal beast head-on. She declares the creature's fate, her specialized sword glinting with deadly intent. From the entrance, Heiss can only watch, recalling how Sasha's Swordmaster blessing makes her an unparalleled swordswoman. She channels her power, leaping high to deliver a devastating overhead strike, her sword and shield glowing with energy. The rest of the party scrambles to support her, as the archer marvels at one of the 16 legendary master blessings in action. Reynolds springs into action, shattering an ambushing rock monster to protect the archer with a powerful shield break. The healer smugly points out Reynolds' failure, reminding the shield master he let a threat get way too close. Refusing to be useless, Heiss ignores his orders and marches into the cavern, ready to prove his worth. Reynolds' bravado vanishes, replaced by sheer panic as he sees the powerless porter walking into the line of fire. From the darkness, another serpent strikes, flying through the air on a collision course with the party. Heiss turns just in time to see the monster bearing down on him, his mind blank with shock. Before the fangs can connect, Sasha's blade flashes, bisecting the creature in a single fluid motion. The archer, the true target of the attack, shakily thanks Sasha for the last-second save. Heiss stammers, trying to explain his good intentions to a stone-faced Sasha. She cuts him off with a violent shove, sending him stumbling backward under the weight of his pack. Her frustration finally boils over as she screams at him to stop being a hindrance and stay still. Dazed and confused, Heiss looks up from the ground, unable to process Sasha's outburst. Ignoring him, Sasha declares their mission a success, deciding they only need the Queen Cobra's core. Amidst the monster remains, Heiss discovers a mysterious, ornate book that seems completely out of place. Reynolds shoves him aside, ordering him to stop daydreaming and get back to his porter duties. Later, Heiss examines the book, finding an image of a strange weapon called a desert eagle and text he can't decipher. The book gives him a familiar, enigmatic feeling, reminding him of the day he received his bizarre blessing. Suddenly, Sasha and the others burst into his room, their expressions grim and determined. He turns to greet them, placing the book on the table, intending to share his new discovery and hope. He believes this strange tome might be the catalyst he needs to finally unlock his weapon master power. But before he can speak, Sasha shatters his world with a devastating ultimatum. He must leave the team. In disbelief, Heiss reminds Sasha of the promise they made as children. He desperately pleads with her, asking if she has truly forgotten their shared dream. Sasha coldly admits she remembers, but explains their team's promotion to A rank changes everything. She clutches her dress, declaring that his powerlessness will only hold them back. With a thud, she drops a pouch of money on the table, prioritizing her ambition over their bond. Reynolds glares at the stunned Heiss, callously offering the pouch as severance pay. Offering a hollow apology, Reynolds turns his back, leaving Heiss to face his expulsion. He pats Heiss condescendingly, promising to make their team so famous even his hometown will hear of it. When Heiss asks if there's any place for him, Reynolds bluntly confirms there isn't. Heiss stands in stunned silence, his world crumbling as he stares at the pouch of money. Heiss confronts Reynolds, correctly guessing the vice leader is delighted to see him go. As the archer looks on with concern, Heiss begins to explain Reynolds' true motives. Suddenly, the archer passionately objects, declaring she is completely against kicking Heiss out. She argues that his master blessing might one day be understood, causing Reynolds to clench his fist in annoyance. Reynolds coldly dismisses her optimism, stating their future A-rank battles leave no room for maybes. He stomps his foot, declaring Heiss is no longer needed, a statement that leaves the archer aghast. With a smug grin, Reynolds officially expels the stunned Heiss from the team. Resigned to his fate, Heiss calmly picks up the mysterious book he found in the cave. He turns to leave, refusing the pouch of money and declaring he doesn't need their parting gift. In a final burst of pride, he violently slaps the pouch from Reynolds' hand, sending coins scattering across the floor. He agrees to leave but clenches his fist, vowing that he will never, ever give up. Heiss unleashes his fury, declaring he won't become like Sasha, who abandons the weak to get ahead. With a final defiant slam of the door, he makes his dramatic exit. Reynolds turns to a conflicted Sasha, who can only stare at the scattered coins on the floor. Sasha turns away, offering a quiet apology to the empty space where Heiss once stood. Reynolds questions if she's truly okay with this outcome, as the healer begins to pick up the money. She reveals her true motive. She'd rather he hate her than see him die in a battle he can't win. As night falls over the city, Reynolds seems to accept her painful justification. 2 months later, we find Heiss tending to a fresh wound, a clear sign of his harsh new reality. He reflects on his small victory, having managed to defeat 20 goblins on his own. He walks through the guild hall, determined to keep improving despite his small achievements. A group of adventurers glance over, recognizing the lone figure carrying a basket. Whispers spread through the hall as they identify him as the outcast from Team Sacred, now a mere herb gatherer. Heiss clenches his fist, hearing them call him the shame of the team and speculate why he was kicked out. Suddenly, a pair of armored boots steps into his path, stopping him in his tracks. He looks up to find the archer from his former party standing before him with a concerned expression. Behind her, the rest of Team Sacred appears, with Reynolds and Sasha looking on in surprise. The archer calls his name, but Heiss flinches, still hurt by their last encounter. She gives him a tip about rare white clover flowers found in the wetlands south of the city. With that, she turns and leaves with her team, leaving Heist to ponder her cryptic advice. He wonders if his former teammates, especially Sasha, are still secretly looking out for him. The realization hits him that the flowers are incredibly valuable, offering a path to quick money. A fond memory of a smiling Sasha holding a clover gives him a flicker of hope. Clasping his pack, he resolves to make the long journey to the wetlands tomorrow. The following day, he stands before the vast, sprawling expanse of the wetlands. He's left breathless by the sight of an endless field of the precious white clover flowers. Lost in the immense field, he begins the task of gathering the valuable herbs. While carefully snipping a flower, he reflects that perhaps their paths haven't fully diverged. A small smile appears as he decides to thank them, holding on to the belief that their shared dream isn't dead. His work is interrupted as a sudden shadow falls over him, making him glance up in confusion. His moment of peace is shattered by a colossal, dragon-like beast emerging from the sky. The monster lets out a deafening roar, its terrifying maw inches from Heist's horrified face. His survival instinct kicks in, but his body is frozen in the face of overwhelming power. Paralyzed by fear, his legs tremble uncontrollably, refusing to obey his command to run. He finally turns to flee, but the beast is already upon him, its attack swift and brutal. A powerful blow sends him flying through the air, crashing hard into the ground. Dazed, he realizes he's stumbled into the dragon's personal bathing grounds, a fatal mistake. As dark liquid drips onto the ground, he questions why his former teammates would send him here. The horrifying truth hits him. This wasn't a tip, it was a setup to get rid of him for good. Bloodied and betrayed, he finally accepts that to Sasha, he was nothing more than an obstacle. The beast's massive foot crashes down, narrowly missing Heist as he cowers behind a rock. Cornered and bleeding, a single thought consumes him. He refuses to die here. Tears of desperation stream down his face as his will to live screams against his impending doom. His mind races, his entire being focused on the single, overwhelming desire for survival. In his pack, the mysterious book he found in the cave begins to react to his desperate plea. The tome bursts open, its pages flapping wildly as a brilliant light erupts from within. A powerful grenade launcher materializes in his hands, its function instantly clear to him despite its alien design. As the dragon lunges for the kill, Heist understands that a single pull of the trigger will unleash an explosive counterattack. His fear is replaced by cold resolve. For the first time, he holds the power to fight back. With a click, he fires the weapon, sending a projectile hurtling straight into the monster's gaping maw. A deafening explosion rips through the dragon's head, stunning Heist with its sheer force. As the beast disintegrates, Heist finally comprehends the true destructive power of his weapon master blessing. The weapon dissolves into light, and he realizes the book summons tools from a world beyond his own. Overwhelmed by the sudden shift in power, Heist erupts into a wild, unhinged laugh. His laughter turns to bitterness as the memory of Sasha's betrayal shatters in his mind. Clutching his face in anguish, he vows to never forget the pain they inflicted upon him. Meanwhile, Guildmaster Geist congratulates Team Sacred on their successful promotion to A rank. The Guildmaster mentions that unsettling rumors have begun to circulate about Heist. The archer, surprised by the question, asks the Guildmaster why he's suddenly interested in Heist's fate. Her expression turns to shock as she processes the ominous implications of bad rumors. The Guildmaster reveals a darker rumor that Team Sacred deliberately tried to sabotage Heist's progress. He explains that the public now mocks Heist for stubbornly clinging to his dream of being an adventurer. Reynolds scoffs at the accusation, casually dismissing the idea that they would ever harm their former teammate. The Guildmaster grins, assuring them he knows they aren't the type of people to stoop so low. However, he warns that as their fame grows, so will the negative attention directed at their powerless ex-member. The archer chimes in, confirming Heist is still determined to fulfill the dream he once shared with Sasha. She then innocently reveals she gave him a tip about a lucrative herb-gathering spot to help him earn money. Reynolds, feigning casual interest, asks for the location of this supposed money-making spot. The Guildmaster's expression shifts to one of pure horror when the archer names the small wetlands. He slams his hands on the table in a panic, his sudden, violent reaction leaving the archer completely bewildered. He reveals the horrifying truth. The wetlands are the lair of an SS+ rank black ancient dragon. The tense moment is shattered as a guild staff member bursts in, announcing an emergency. Wasting no time, the Guildmaster springs into action, ordering Team Sacred to follow. He urgently directs them to the main hall, his expression grim as he hurries them along. As they rush downstairs, the guildmaster's eyes widen in disbelief at the scene below. In the center of the bustling guild hall stands Heiss, holding the severed head of the colossal dragon. He glares up at his former teammates, his eyes burning with a cold, newfound intensity. He confronts Sasha directly, his words questioning the depths of her betrayal. His eyes blaze with fury as he declares that their plan to eliminate him has failed spectacularly. Standing triumphantly atop the beast's remains, he makes a stunning announcement. He killed the dragon himself. Sasha stammers in disbelief, but Heiss furiously accuses her of feigning ignorance. He admits her betrayal stings, revealing he'd foolishly hoped she was still on his side. With his trust shattered, he roars that he is done relying on anyone but himself. Clutching the book, he makes a new vow, to become the strongest through his own power. But the strain is too much, and he suddenly collapses to the floor, his body giving out. Sasha rushes to his side, screaming his name in a panic as he loses consciousness. A time skip reveals a hardened Heiss, his new eye patch a testament to the battles he's faced alone. 2 years have passed since that fateful day in the guild hall. Now a seasoned adventurer, he sits in a tavern, calmly informing the keeper he's staying another month. As he reads the paper, life in the tavern continues around him, marking his new solitary existence. He drops a few coins on the counter, paying the grizzled innkeeper for his stay. The innkeeper notes his S-rank status, questioning why he'd choose such a humble inn over a fancier one. Now known as the Harbinger of Darkness, Heiss simply confirms his stay, requesting breakfast be included. He explains that this unassuming place is the perfect hideout, as no one would ever think to look for him here. His attention is drawn to a newspaper article announcing Sasha's own promotion to S rank. The tavern door suddenly swings open, and Heiss's gaze sharpens at the unexpected visitor. His eye widens in shock as he recognizes the person who just walked in. Taking a sip from his cup, he calmly asks Guildmaster Geist what brings him here. The Guildmaster, a legendary S-rank brawler himself, gives Heiss a stern, appraising look. With a heavy sigh, Geist takes a seat, leaving Heiss to wonder about the purpose of this surprise visit. Heiss cheekily credits Geist for his solo skills, though the Guildmaster mentally denies ever giving such lessons. The Guildmaster brings up the rumor that Heiss defeated an S+ rank mithril ogre, a feat Heiss casually confirms. The monster ranking system is shown, highlighting that Heiss defeated a beast just shy of the theoretical maximum SSS rank. The Guildmaster points out the mangled remains of his kills, but Heiss retorts that his blessing's destructive nature leaves little choice. Geist presents Heiss with a formal invitation to an S-rank ceremony, leaving the young adventurer confused. As Heiss inspects the royal seal, Geist clarifies that this invitation is from the royal family, not the guild. He learns a surprising piece of history. The kingdom's first king was also the very first S-rank adventurer. The ceremony isn't just for show, it's where he will be assigned an official S-rank request. Heiss seems unimpressed, having already tackled missions far beyond the S-rank requirement. The Guildmaster explains the tradition. The royal family itself bestows the S-rank title, honoring the legacy of the first king. The Guildmaster casually reveals that Sasha will also be at the ceremony, catching Heiss completely off guard. When asked if he can forgive her, Heiss coldly confirms that he can never forget what she did. He clenches his fist, the memory of her betrayal still fueling his deep-seated anger. Geist tries to reason with him, explaining that Sasha only kicked him out because she cared and wanted to protect him. Heiss furiously rejects this logic, recalling the cruel words she used to cast him aside. He argues that her hurtful accusations about him being a burden don't align with someone who supposedly cared. Geist sips his drink, acknowledging that regardless of her motives, the fact remains that she still kicked him out. Heiss's eye narrows, the pain of her betrayal still a fresh and bitter wound. He looks down, contemplating his complicated feelings toward his former team and their path to power. Heiss finally admits he doesn't disagree with Sasha's philosophy of abandoning the weak to become the strongest. He declares to Geist that he will continue on his own path to become the strongest. His eye burns with conviction as he renounces the need for comrades, trusting only himself. The Guildmaster lets out a weary sigh, seemingly understanding the young man's hardened resolve. With a final slam of the door, Heiss makes his exit, leaving the Guildmaster alone. Geist watches him go, musing that for all his power, Heiss is still just a kid at heart. Months later, Heiss and Sasha stand side by side in a royal court, formally recognized as S-rank adventurers. King Barbaros of Hybelk formally addresses the two powerful adventurers from his throne. The camera pans to reveal the first Prince Cress and the second Princess Maiwane observing the ceremony. Prince Cress tasks Sasha with defeating crystal golems, announcing he will personally join her on the mission. Sasha humbly accepts the royal assignment, ready to prove her S-rank capabilities. Princess Maiwane cheerfully turns to Heiss, ready to announce his official S-rank assignment. His mission will take him to the sacred mountain of Gagazia, deep within the neighboring forest kingdom of Igdora. He is tasked with gathering the legendary eternal moongrass, a key component for powerful spirit elixirs. To everyone's surprise, Princess Maiwane declares that she will be joining him on this quest. As the princess quivers with excitement for her first adventure, Heiss appears to accept the royal request. However, he interrupts the proceedings with a single, unexpected condition. He flatly refuses to allow Her Highness to join him, stunning the entire royal court into silence. When a shocked Maiwane demands an explanation, he points out the region is crawling with dangerous monsters. He coldly calculates that her presence would drop the mission's success rate to 80% and put her life at risk. The princess is floored by his assessment, questioning if that low probability even considers his team's involvement. Heiss smirks, informing the stunned princess that he works alone. He formally requests the king's permission to undertake the mission solo. To everyone's surprise, the king erupts into a hearty laugh, finding the situation hilarious. The king remarks that this is the first time anyone has ever refused a royal escort. He notes Heiss's reputation for single-handedly clearing S-rank quests. The king acknowledges he is well aware of Heiss's formidable achievements. Relenting, the king agrees to the exception, much to the princess's vocal disappointment. He sternly orders his pouting daughter to give up on the idea of joining the mission. With a clap of his hands, the king officially concludes the ceremony. A maid enters, announcing the start of a casual dinner party to follow the proceedings. The king laughs heartily, remarking to Geist that Heiss is certainly a unique individual. Geist admits he's relieved he warned the royals about Heiss's personality beforehand. The king graciously dismisses Geist's apology for the princess's behavior, telling him not to worry. An official points out that the determined Princess Maiwane is now heading straight for Sasha. The princess eagerly asks Sasha if she can join her S-rank mission instead. Maiwane introduces herself, clearly not giving up on her dream of accompanying a top-tier adventurer. Her brother, Prince Cress, suddenly steps in to put a stop to her request. He scolds his pouting sister for bothering the adventurers, but Sasha calmly says it's no trouble at all. To the princess's absolute delight, Sasha agrees to let her join their mission. As Maiwane celebrates, Heiss watches from a balcony, silently judging the princess's childish behavior. Prince Cress warmly introduces himself, joining the conversation between his sister and Team Sacred. Heiss turns his back on the royal festivities, his gaze fixed on the path ahead. With a firm step, he sets off on his mission, leaving the palace behind. He pauses his journey for a moment, only to be startled by a familiar voice calling out to him. It's Guildmaster Geist, who has followed him out, holding a drink with a knowing look. The Guildmaster puts a hand on his shoulder, confessing how nervous Heiss's bold declaration made him. Heiss offers a wry apology, but Geist admits that while unconventional, it was certainly entertaining. The Guildmaster confesses he was shocked by Heiss's audacity in front of the king. He reassures Heiss that the king, surprisingly, found his bluntness rather amusing. Geist playfully ruffles his hair, reminding the young adventurer not to let the king's favor go to his head. Geist gives Heiss a final firm reminder that working alone means no one will have his back. The Guildmaster then asks what Heiss plans to do now that he's on his own. Heiss admits he still needs to decipher the mysterious book that grants him his power. Clenching his fist, he resolves to keep taking on quests and honing his skills simultaneously. With his mind made up, Heiss turns to leave, announcing he's heading back to his inn. A low rumble echoes through the night as an imposing silhouette looms against the moon. But as he walks away from the palace, a familiar voice suddenly calls out, stopping him in his tracks. He turns to find Sasha standing in a nearby archway waiting for him. She asks to speak with him alone, but Heiss coldly shuts her down, stating they have nothing to discuss. Undeterred, Sasha looks down, her voice filled with regret as she admits she wanted to apologize. Heiss lets out a bitter laugh, telling a stunned Sasha to stop toying with him. He erupts in fury, questioning why she chose now to apologize after 2 long years. He furiously reminds her she said nothing, even on the day he was nearly killed. He recalls how she and the team simply walked away the day after he collapsed. A flashback reveals they immediately took on another mission, leaving him behind without a second thought. He accuses her of never planning to apologize in the first place, leaving her at a loss for words. His eye narrows as he coldly informs her he has no need for her apology. He declares that her words are completely meaningless to him now. Sasha can only watch in stunned silence, her expression crumbling with despair. Just as he turns to walk away, she desperately grabs his arm to stop him. He pulls away, leaving Sasha stunned by his cold rejection. She finally confesses she was scared and thought kicking him out was the only way to protect him. A flashback shows her naive belief that achieving their dream would make him understand her actions. But Heist scoffs at the idea, pointing out that she's the only one living that dream now. He cruelly reframes their shared goal, calling it her dream, not theirs. With a sharp tug, he frees his arm, refusing to be an excuse for her choices. Sasha is left speechless, her eyes welling with tears as his words hit home. He declares his new ambition, to become the strongest all by himself. As he walks away, he vows to never be like her, preferring solitude over abandoning his comrades. He turns back one last time, furiously accusing her of throwing away their shared dream when she abandoned him. He challenges her to achieve her dream of becoming the best, even if it means leaving him behind. With his final words delivered, he walks away into the rain-soaked night. Sometime later, a determined step marks the beginning of his new journey. He accepts that their past is gone forever, leaving a heartbroken Sasha behind him. His new focus is the legendary eternal moongrass, the objective of his S-rank quest. An old text reveals the moongrass is a rare, glowing ingredient used to create powerful elixirs. The text further explains it can only be found atop the treacherous sacred mountain Gagazia. Back at his inn, an overview shows his impressive new gear, from his dragonhide coat to his magic ring. At the Adventurers Guild, he presents his S-rank card to a receptionist. The receptionist cheerfully informs him that the guildmaster is currently in a meeting with Sasha. He politely asks the receptionist to wait, turning to consider his next move. Unimpressed, he scans the quest board, finding nothing higher than a B-rank mission. His thoughts are interrupted by the sudden appearance of a stoic elf girl. Startled by her presence, Heist turns to face the unexpected visitor. He quickly dismisses his surprise, but the elf girl seems to notice his reaction. His attention drifts back to the quest board, still searching for a worthy challenge. He begrudgingly admits that her observation about his surprise is correct. The elf girl questions his reaction, wondering if her kind is truly that uncommon here. A map reveals that elves rarely leave their isolated forest nation of Igdora. She explains she simply traveled west, ending up in this region as she rummages through her belongings. She confirms that it's her first day visiting this particular guild hall. Heist and the elf girl exchange a few words, acknowledging her recent arrival. She introduces herself as Priscilla, presenting her B-rank adventurer card. Heist notes her rank and immediately asks about the rest of her team. But Priscilla confidently states she works alone, trusting in her own strength. Her declaration catches Heist off guard, as he's never met another solo adventurer with the same conviction. In response, Heist nonchalantly reveals his own S-rank adventurer card. He admits that achieving S-rank as a solo player is an exceptionally rare feat. When she asks about his current mission, he confirms it will take him to the forest nation of Igdora. The name of her homeland sends Priscilla into a panic, and she grabs Heist, demanding answers. The receptionist interrupts, informing Heist that the guildmaster is now available. With a quick farewell, Heist heads off to his meeting, leaving the elf girl behind. His path is unexpectedly blocked by Sasha, who seems surprised to see him there. She correctly guesses he's also there to discuss his royal mission with the guildmaster. Ignoring her completely, Heist continues up the stairs, leaving Sasha to watch him go. He ascends the stairs, putting distance between himself and his complicated past. In response, Sasha draws her blade, her expression hardening with newfound determination. Inside his office, Geist reveals the terrifying truth. An SS plus rank dragon guards Mount Gagazia. He explains that even the powerful Yggdrasil clan, led by the elven hero Ibis, dares not approach the mountain. A quick overview reveals that clans are elite organizations formed by S-rank adventurers operating independently of the guild system. Geist offers Heist a sealed letter, urging him to take it for his journey. He explains it's a letter of introduction to the Yggdrasil clan leader, a powerful potential ally. Heist questions the guildmaster's connections, who casually mentions his 40 years of experience have their perks. With the letter secured, Heist turns to depart on his dangerous mission. From his office window, Geist watches him go, offering a silent word of caution. Heist stands before the gates of the royal capital, ready to venture into the unknown. He walks through the massive gates, officially leaving the city behind. Sensing a presence, he instantly summons a powerful handgun and demands the lurker reveal themselves. He fires a warning shot into the ground, a clear message not to be trifled with. With his weapon still smoking, he glares into the distance, waiting for his follower to make a move. He issues a stark warning, making it clear his next shot will not be a miss. A voice surrenders as a single foot steps into view, signaling their compliance. The lurker is revealed to be Priscilla, the elf girl from the guild who now stands before him. His eye narrows, calmly confirming he was aware of her presence all along. He cuts straight to the point, demanding to know why she was following him. He dismisses her request for a favor, but she insists that only he can help her. She formally requests to join him on his journey to the sacred mountain, leaving Heist to question her true intentions. Her reason is simple and direct. She is also after the eternal moongrass. Still unconvinced, Heist keeps his weapon raised, demanding to know how her quest involves him. Priscilla reveals the true stakes of her mission, explaining the herb is the only thing that can save her sister's life. She explains that due to the monster mating season, no one is granted permission to enter the sacred mountain. However, she astutely notes that his royal request from the Highbelt Kingdom bypasses that restriction entirely. Suspicious, Heist demands to know how she learned the details of his confidential royal mission. She shamelessly admits to eavesdropping on his conversation with the guildmaster, just as she did before. With a determined clench of her fist, she pleads that she must get to Gagazia to save her sister. She desperately offers him all of her money in exchange for his help in retrieving the herb. She then proposes a temporary alliance, asking to be his teammate until they reach the mountain. Her resolve is absolute. She tells him he can simply leave her behind if she falls in battle. Her desperate words seem to strike a chord, giving Heist a moment of silent contemplation. But he coldly dismisses her plea, stating that her personal problems are not his concern. With a slight smirk, Heist reconsiders her desperate plea. He dismisses his weapon, casually stating he doesn't care if she decides to follow him. However, he makes it clear they are not teammates, and she will be on her own in a fight. Priscilla confidently accepts his terms, certain she can handle herself. The two begin their journey, with Heist leading the way and Priscilla keeping her distance. With a final, dismissive grunt, Heist turns and continues on his path. He suddenly calls out her name, breaking the silence between them. Priscilla formally introduces herself, but Heist remains silent and unimpressed. Their journey is quickly interrupted by a sudden, explosive blast that takes down a monster. Heist stands over the fallen beasts with a rifle as Priscilla marvels at the power of his strange weapon. Priscilla explains her blessing. Spirit Command allows her to control invisible spirits. Heist listens intently, confirming he understands the nature of her power. She reveals the spirits can help her with tasks like eavesdropping or concealment. Heist realizes her spirit spies are how she learned about his confidential mission. Curious, Priscilla then asks Heist to explain his own unique blessing. He reveals his Weapon Master blessing, which grants him mastery over weapons from another world. He lists the 4 otherworldly weapons he can currently summon, with more yet to be unlocked. To her surprise, he demonstrates the ability, explaining that only he can wield these summoned arms. Deciding they've talked enough, Heist drops his supplies and announces it's time to set up camp. Priscilla marvels at his well-stocked item boxes as they settle into their campsite for the night. Priscilla asks what he's making, and he explains his large-capacity item box is a perk of being S-rank. He then presents her with a freshly made meal of soup and a sandwich. She's taken aback by the gesture, reminding him that they aren't even teammates. Heist brushes off her concern, simply stating he felt like doing it. Accepting his vague reason, she begins to eat the soup he prepared. The first bite leaves her utterly stunned by how delicious the food is. She compliments his cooking skills, and he reveals he used to handle all the chores for his old party. After she finishes the entire meal, she thanks him for the food. Heist notices her intense stare and questions what she's looking at. She sincerely expresses her gratitude, a sentiment that catches the hardened adventurer completely by surprise. She admits she's surprised by his kindness, having expected a much colder person. Her gratitude is genuine, as he represents her only chance to save her sister. The moment feels strangely nostalgic to Heist, reminding him of a time before he was alone. In return for the meal, she offers to have her spirits keep watch for the night. The next day, their journey is interrupted by the sight of a breathtaking structure in the distance. They arrive at the base of a colossal tree, the very symbol and headquarters of the Yggdrasil clan. Priscilla excitedly reveals the tree was created by the clan's leader, Ibis, one of the legendary four sages. A quick overview explains the world is dominated by four great clans, each rivaling the power of a country. The West Clan, fantastic fantasy, controls the world's largest entertainment district. Meanwhile, the Northern Clan, the Seyfert Holy Knights, only recruits those with sword-related blessings. Priscilla explains that their current location, Yggdrasil, is one of the four great clans. The Southern Clan, Cavern King, is a massive mining operation run by the dwarves. They finally arrive at the main gate of the forest nation Igdora, where a guard demands their papers. The elf guard is flustered when Heiss presents his royal request for entry to Gagazia. Heiss glances back at the cloaked Priscilla, about to explain her presence. He quietly tells her to stay put, deciding to handle the guards himself. The guard hands over an entrance certificate, granting Heiss official passage. Remembering Geist's gift, Heiss presents the sealed letter of introduction. The guard takes the letter, his expression changing as he examines the official clan seal. His eyes widen in utter disbelief, recognizing the authority behind the wax seal. The flustered guard scurries away, telling them to wait right there. Moments later, two wizened elves emerge from the woods to greet them. The elder apologizes for the delay, correctly identifying Heiss as Geist's disciple. He then grabs Heiss's arm, urgently insisting that their master has summoned him. Annoyed by the sudden fuss, Heiss agrees while Priscilla decides to wait for him at the gate. Priscilla whispers a warning, reminding him that the clan leader Ibis holds more power than even the royal family. Her stark warning about the clan's influence leaves Heiss momentarily speechless. A small floating spirit guide appears, beckoning him to follow it up the colossal tree. As they ascend, Heiss looks around, wondering where exactly he's being taken. They arrive at a strange contraption built into the tree, which the guide calls an elevator. The elder elf points the way, explaining where Heiss is being taken. The strange contraption carries them high up the side of the colossal tree. With a chime, the elevator doors open, revealing a new, hidden level. They arrive at a serene sanctuary, which the elder reveals is the home of the clan master, Ibis. As they enter the shrine, a figure with long, flowing hair awaits them inside. A young elf girl holding a pipe calmly greets them as they approach. She introduces herself as Ibis, the legendary clan master of Yggdrasil, and correctly identifies Heiss. Heiss is utterly shocked to find that the powerful sage he was warned about is just a kid. She reveals Geist's letter not only requested her help, but also predicted Heiss's stubborn refusal. Ibis erupts into laughter, amused that Geist's assessment of Heiss's cheeky personality was spot on. Ibis sets down her pipe, remarking that something about Heiss feels strangely familiar. With a knowing wink, she reveals she can smell the distinct scent of gunpowder on him. Heiss is stunned, questioning how she could possibly know about his otherworldly weapons. His shock is palpable as he processes the impossible implications of her words. She calmly explains that she once had a teammate who also wielded such weapons. Seizing the opportunity, Heiss presents his mysterious book, desperate for answers. Her eye widens in genuine shock as she recognizes the ancient tome. She takes the book from his hands, murmuring in disbelief that it still exists. Heiss watches her intently, a glimmer of hope appearing in his eye. The legendary sage confirms his suspicions, admitting she knows exactly what the book is. She reveals the book is actually the diary of a man named Nobunaga. However, she struggles to decipher the strange, otherworldly script. She explains that Nobunaga, like his weapons, came from another world. The unfamiliar name leaves Heiss confused, but Ibis simply confirms it. With a sigh, she closes the book, admitting she can't actually read the foreign script. Heiss presses her for answers, asking if she knows anything about its contents. She hands it back, confessing that Nobunaga never shared the diary's secrets with her. Heiss looks down, his hope for answers seemingly crushed by this dead end. However, as he glances at the pages, he realizes he can understand some of the writing. The sage is stunned by this revelation, and Heiss confirms that, to his own surprise, he can. He realizes with a jolt that more of the strange script has become readable to him. The sage leans in, her interest piqued by this unexpected development. With a curious smile, she asks him to translate the newly deciphered text for her. Heiss hesitates for a moment, looking slightly uncomfortable with the diary's contents. He begins to read aloud, revealing an old diary entry about Ibis visiting Nobunaga. The diary entry details Nobunaga's overwhelming affection for her and his desire to give her cat ears. He continues reading about Nobunaga's plan to hunt monsters to make his strange gift a reality. The revelation leaves the legendary sage completely flustered and red-faced. Seeing her reaction, Heist bluntly asks if she and this Nobunaga were romantically involved. His question earns him an immediate and aggressive reaction as she grabs him in a powerful hold. The flustered sage declares the meeting over, telling him to come back another time. She promptly ejects him from her sanctuary, slamming the door behind him. Now outside, Heist ponders the strange coincidence of the book revealing more of its secrets. He lets out a weary sigh as he rejoins Prisia to continue their journey. He wonders if the mysterious book might have a will of its own as they pass through the gate. Their quest takes them high into the treacherous, mist-covered peaks of Mount Gagazia. As they near the summit, Heist notes that their destination is close. Their ascent is suddenly blocked by a massive, roaring elemental monster. Prisia observes that the fog is growing thicker, obscuring their vision. The ground beneath them begins to crack and crumble, threatening to give way. A massive appendage slams down from the fog, sending Prisia reeling in panic. Heist grits his teeth in annoyance as Prisia stares in wide-eyed terror at the incoming attack. He grabs her and unleashes a powerful blast, using the recoil to propel them both to safety. After landing, he glances back at the now silent threat, leaving Prisia stunned by the sudden rescue. He notes the monster used the fog to its advantage, warning her to remain vigilant as his hand glows with power. Confused, Prisia questions his actions, reminding him of his own rule that they are not teammates. Heist simply reminds her of her desperate mission to save her sister. His unexpected reasoning leaves her speechless, her eye widening in understanding. He clarifies that while he has no obligation to save her, he has no reason not to help her sister. He calls it a simple thank you for all the information she's provided along the way. Prisia offers a heartfelt thank you, and Heist gives a simple, accepting nod. A sudden, earth-shaking roar shatters the quiet, putting both adventurers on high alert. Heist calmly identifies the terrifying sound as that of a dragon, confirming their worst fears. He gazes up at the mountain peak, understanding the beast's lair is nearby. Prisia deduces the dragon must have left its nest to hunt for food. Seizing the opportunity, she sprints towards the glowing eternal moongrass. Heist shouts after her, trying to call her back from her reckless dash. She calls over her shoulder, promising a quick return once she grabs the herb. Ignoring his warning, she promises to pay him upon her return. Heist realizes her fatal mistake, knowing the territorial dragon will return the instant it senses an intruder. Heist curses his luck as more rock elementals burst from the ground, adding another problem to his list. Meanwhile, Prisia reaches the clearing, announcing her arrival as she searches for the glowing herb. She frantically scans the area, knowing she must gather the moongrass before the dragon returns. Her eyes widen in disbelief as she looks around, finding no trace of the legendary plant. She stares at the empty field, realizing with dawning horror that all the eternal moongrass is gone. Dropping to her knees, she understands she can no longer create the life-saving elixir for her sister. Overcome with despair, she whispers an apology to her sister, her last hope completely shattered. Her grief is interrupted by the furious roar of the returning SS Plus rank green elephant dragon. The massive beast looms over her, its terrifying presence freezing her in place. With newfound resolve, she draws her bow, hoping a single shot can create a distraction for her to escape. She fires a single desperate arrow, hoping to create an opening for her escape. The spiritual bolt strikes the dragon's head, but barely leaves a scratch on its tough hide. Prisia is stunned, realizing her spiritual energy has absolutely no effect on the massive beast. Undeterred, she resolves to unleash an even stronger attack, refusing to give up. But the dragon lets out a terrifying roar, its sheer power paralyzing her with fear. Its massive tongue whips out, shooting directly towards the helpless elf. The powerful appendage slams into her, knocking her off her feet with incredible force. Before she can recover, the tongue wraps around her, squeezing with immense pressure. With a burst of adrenaline, she lands a desperate kick squarely on the dragon's jaw. The beast recoils in pain but tightens its grip, refusing to let its prey go. Having saved her at the last second, he furiously berates Prisia for her reckless charge. Still in shock, Prisia questions why he's even there, having told her to fend for herself. Exasperated, he stands over the dazed elf, annoyed by her near-fatal blunder. Leaping to a safe distance, he orders her to stay back as the dragon's tongue smashes the ground. He unloads a clip into the appendage, but the bullets merely bounce off its tough surface. He notes the handgun isn't strong enough for a lethal shot and decides to escalate. He instantly swaps his handgun for a massive triple-barreled shotgun, ready for a bigger bang. He expertly reloads the powerful weapon with a flourish, preparing to fire again. A thunderous blast from the shotgun engulfs the dragon's head in a powerful explosion. The colossal beast crashes to the ground, but Heiss quickly realizes it's far from defeated. He turns to check on Priscilla, noting the dragon isn't quite as defeated as he'd hoped. Still in a daze, she confirms she's okay, utterly stunned by his display of power. He questions why she followed him, but she can only stare back in silence. Annoyed by the lingering scent of battle, he urges her to get moving. A flustered Priscilla realizes with a blush that he rushed into danger just to save her. As night falls, Heiss correctly deduces the moongrass only reveals itself after dark. Just as he speaks, the entire field begins to illuminate with an ethereal glow. He notices her stunned expression and asks what's wrong. They watch in horror as the legendary eternal moongrass begins to shrivel and die before their eyes. Heiss theorizes the dragon's blood is poisoning the sacred herbs, leaving Priscilla to watch her only hope wither away. Priscilla watches in despair, her last hope withering away just after they found it. But Heiss remains silent, his attention suddenly drawn to something else in the field. He points to a spot in the distance, snapping the devastated elf out of her grief. Following his direction, Priscilla sprints across the blighted field toward a faint, solitary light. Her eye widens in disbelief as she sees a glimmer of hope in the darkness. A single, tiny sprout of eternal moongrass glows defiantly, untouched by the dragon's poison. Without a word, Heiss pulls a small trowel and a container from his item box. He carefully digs up the precious herb, preserving it inside a glass jar. He hands the jar to Priscilla, who clutches her sister's only chance for survival. Their moment of relief is shattered as the ground erupts, revealing the dragon is far from finished. Priscilla carefully seals the lid, securing the precious moongrass inside the jar. She turns back to Heiss, acknowledging that he was the one to defeat the dragon. With a grateful smile, she offers him the jar, stating the herb rightfully belongs to him. Heiss accepts the moongrass, confirming that his royal request is now officially complete. As they walk away, he tells her not to lose hope, suggesting they might find more of the herb elsewhere. Their conversation is cut short when a voice calls out her name, leaving Priscilla stunned. At the base of the mountain, a group of elves has been waiting for them. Heiss glances over, confused by the formal way they address her as Presea-sama. A male elf steps forward, scolding her for disappearing with only a note and calling her by another name, Adra. He expresses his relief at finally tracking her down after a long search. The elf guard turns his attention to Heiss, confirming he was the one who took Priscilla to the mountain. He then correctly identifies Heiss as the S-rank adventurer, his tone growing more serious. A stunning revelation is made. Priscilla is actually Adra, the younger sister of the Elven Queen. The guard chides Heiss for his ignorance, warning him that he was traveling with royalty. Turning back to the princess, the guard asks about the outcome of her desperate quest. His expression darkens with resignation, already knowing she must have failed. Adra erupts in fury, accusing him of wanting her to abandon her sister to her fate. He coldly dismisses her outburst, claiming her sister's illness is simply an unchangeable destiny. She clenches her fist in helpless rage, refusing to accept his callous words as Heiss looks on. The elf then drops another bombshell, ordering her home to discuss their impending marriage. Heiss casually waves goodbye, telling Priscilla it's time for her to go with her people. Without a second glance, he turns and walks away, leaving the stunned princess behind. Back in the queen's room, Adra stands by her sister's bedside, her heart heavy with failure. Tears stream down her face as she apologizes for being unable to find the life-saving herb. The bedridden queen of the forest, Alcera, offers a serene smile despite her grave condition. She gently comforts her crying sister, telling her not to worry. Alcera calmly accepts her fate, referring to her illness as an unchangeable destiny. She then asks Adra to share stories of her travels, trying to lift her spirits. Remembering her journey, Adra perks up and announces she brought back souvenirs. But as she reaches for them, the queen's eye widens in shock, spotting something unexpected. The queen's gaze falls upon the jar in Adra's bag, recognizing the glowing eternal moongrass inside. Adra's eyes fill with tears as she realizes Heiss must have secretly left the life-saving herb for her. A few days later, Heiss reports back to Geist, who immediately points out that he technically failed the royal request. Unfazed, Heiss sips his drink as the guildmaster laments the outcome, especially given his feelings about the princess. Changing the subject, Geist presents a new request to investigate a recently discovered dungeon. He remarks that he anticipated Heiss would be ready for a new challenge. The guildmaster asks about his plans, and Heiss confirms he'll stick to his routine of clearing dungeons. With his new mission accepted, he turns to leave, but a familiar voice stops him at the door. He turns to find Princess Adra standing in the doorway, having clearly been waiting for him. Completely stunned by her unexpected appearance, Heiss questions why she is there. Princess Adra greets him with a bright, genuine smile. She joyfully reports that the elixir made from his moongrass saved her sister, who is now fully recovered. The princess humbly admits she owes him a great debt for his selfless act. Unimpressed, Heiss cuts to the chase, demanding to know what she wants from him. She insists on finding a way to repay him for everything he has done. As a reward for her success, she reveals she broke her engagement and is now free to travel. She then proposes to join him, not as a teammate, but simply as a traveling companion. Heiss immediately shuts down her idea, turning to walk away without a second thought. Undeterred by his cold rejection, the princess simply chuckles to herself. As he leaves, she calls out one last offer, asking if he will at least share a meal with her. She cheerfully offers to treat him at a nearby cafe, but Heiss remains silent and unimpressed. The scene flashes back to a few days prior, focusing on a different group of adventurers. Sasha's party members are shown, all looking determined to tackle their own royal request. With her full team assembled, Sasha rallies them to hunt down a powerful crystal golem. She explains they must amplify their attacks to break through the golem's tough crystalline body. Arriving at the crystal mines, the party leader decides to review their strategy one last time. A teammate outlines the first step, which involves using an ability to create a duplicate of Cress. The plan continues with another member enchanting arrows with explosive magic for their archer. Sasha declares she will deliver the finishing blow, trusting her party to create an opening. The team leader turns to a massive armored figure, confirming if the key members are ready to begin. The archer and the mage confirm their readiness, their expressions full of resolve. With a firm step, Sasha signals the beginning of their high-stakes mission. The team ventures deep into the glittering, treacherous crystal mines. A teammate explains the mine's crystals are reserved solely for crafting tributes for other nations. The high-quality ore is shown to be perfect for creating exquisite jewelry. The penalty for illegal mining is severe, a fact that visibly unnerves the younger party member. Another adventurer adds that the purest, most valuable ores lie even deeper within the mines. Sasha's attention is captured by an enigmatic glow emanating from the cavern's depths. They finally spot their target, a hulking crystal golem, but one adventurer is quickly restrained from charging in. The leader senses something is wrong, as his teammate scans the area and realizes they are facing more than just one golem. The scout reports that 5 hulking golems are actively patrolling the mines. He adds that 2 more are standing guard near a processing area deeper inside. The team finds their coordinated movements highly unusual for simple monsters. The mage explains that golems are usually simple creatures, mutated from ore and rock. A teammate turns to Sasha for orders, questioning their next move. He concludes that the golems are displaying an impossible level of intelligence. Deciding to proceed, Sasha orders her teammate to activate his duplication ability. In a flash, a perfect duplicate of the adventurer materializes beside him. The archer readies her bow as the mage confirms she will handle the enchantment. With a powerful chant, the mage imbues the arrows with explosive magic. The archer pulls back her bow, knocking a fan of magically charged arrows with fierce determination. She unleashes the volley, sending the enchanted projectiles curving through the air toward the patrolling golems. The arrows find their targets, erupting in a series of powerful explosions that decimate the smaller crystal monsters. With the path cleared, Sasha and her duplicate rush forward, executing a perfectly synchronized sword strike. Their combined attack shatters the massive crystal golem, ending the battle in a storm of crystalline fragments. Sasha coolly declares the fight is over, as her younger party members marvel at her strength and the amazing double ability. The duplication user accepts the compliments, explaining his power has a 1-day cooldown per target. Sasha's gaze fixes on a dark passage, sensing an ominous aura and wishing the duplication ability was available again. A teammate questions her concern, but Sasha is certain a powerful entity is lurking ahead and is aware of their presence. Deciding they can't ignore the danger, Sasha orders her team to stay alert as they prepare to venture into the ominous tunnel. The dark tunnel opens into what appears to be an abandoned crystal processing area. A mysterious figure greets them, mockingly asking if they sensed his presence and decided to investigate. The tattooed stranger sits casually, complimenting Sasha on her impressive talent. Unimpressed by the flattery, Sasha demands to know the stranger's identity. He introduces himself as Crane, revealing with a sinister glint in his eye that he is a demon. The party's strategist recoils in shock, unable to believe they've encountered a demon. He recalls the ancient history of the Great War that pitted humans against demons for survival. A flashback explains the continent was split in two, creating the separate human and demon realms. Crane smirks, suggesting they should be well aware of what a demon is capable of. The team leader demands an explanation, questioning how it's possible for him to be in the human realm. The party's strategist urgently tells Sasha they need to retreat, but she looks back in defiance. He recalls the Great War, where a few thousand demons were powerful enough to challenge tens of thousands of humans. The demon, Crane, mockingly offers to let them go, crediting the strategist's knowledge for his sudden mercy. Crane preens, clearly enjoying the recognition of his fearsome reputation. He reveals he's already acquired the high-purity crystals he came for, his mission seemingly complete. Sasha demands to know what sinister purpose he has for the stolen crystals. Crane arrogantly warns them to leave, threatening to crush them if they interfere. He taunts them, comparing their pursuit of treasure to that of simple insects. In a flash, the crystal disappears from his hand, leaving the demon completely bewildered. Sasha glares with cold fury, her expression revealing she is the one who just took his prize. Sasha points her sword at the demon, declaring she now understands the situation. Crane's expression turns sinister as he claims he's simply exterminating insects that have wandered into the kingdom. The party's strategist calls out her name in a panic, fearing the consequences of her actions. A teammate reminds him that Crane is the one breaking the law, as illegal mining is punishable by death. The rest of the party rallies behind their leader, angered by the demon's disrespectful tone. The strategist watches his teammates, recognizing the sheer power they command when united. Crane smirks, finding her thieving ability to be an interesting, if minor, curiosity. He then dismisses her power, prompting Sasha to charge forward in a furious attack. The demon casually flicks his finger, boasting that her human skills are nothing compared to his. The simple gesture unleashes a powerful force, sending Sasha flying back as her teammates watch in horror. The demon dismisses her attack as a mere annoyance while Sasha regains her footing. He lunges forward with blinding speed, deciding to eliminate the party leader first. But the strategist leaps in front of Sasha, blocking the demon's strike with his shield as a powerful wind erupts. Crane reveals his ability to freely control the wind, effortlessly pushing the adventurers back. To demonstrate his power, he sends heavy crates flying through the air with a simple gesture. He levitates in the center of a powerful whirlwind, showing complete mastery over the chaotic storm. The demon gloats that his power is on a completely different level, far beyond what humans can comprehend. Unfazed, Sasha counters that raw power isn't the only factor in a battle, but Crane mockingly dismisses her. She calmly concedes that his wind manipulation is an impressive ability. However, she confidently states that it still won't be enough for him to defeat them. A sudden explosion rocks the demon, catching him completely off guard. He realizes the archer cleverly hid an explosive arrow among the debris he was controlling. The nimble archer dashes through the chaotic whirlwind, using his own attack as a distraction. Enraged, Crane prepares to unleash a devastating counterattack on the party. A massive blast engulfs the area where the adventurers were standing, but the team stands firm, protected by the strategist's powerful twin shields. Crane stares in disbelief as Sasha appears behind him, declaring her power isn't the only threat. She proclaims that teamwork makes them stronger, just as the demon is struck from behind. The powerful demon recoils in agony, critically wounded by the surprise attack. Sasha stands over the fallen demon, stating this moment is proof of their combined strength. Enraged, the demon vows to make them pay for their insolence, threatening every one of Sasha's friends. He escalates his threats, promising to destroy her entire country and everyone she holds dear. With a final, furious scream, Crane swears he will personally end her life after taking everything from her. Before the party can react, the demon vanishes in a swirl of dark energy, making a swift escape. Sasha watches the spot where he disappeared, silently processing the demon's chilling parting words. The scene shifts to the Grand Highbelk Palace, where a report is being made about the encounter with the demon race. Inside the throne room, Sasha's party stands before the king, ready to recount the events in the crystal mines. Sasha explains that the demon, Crane, has sinister intentions and poses a direct threat to the kingdom of Highbelk. The king turns to two other party members, indicating he wants to hear their side of the story directly. Cress and Maiwane stand at attention, prepared to give their full report to the concerned monarch. The king formally commends Sasha's party for their outstanding success on their mission. He then expresses his disappointment that Heiss, by contrast, failed his own royal request. As a reward for their service, the king offers to grant Sasha's party a single wish. Without hesitation, Sasha asked for an official headquarters for her party, a clan home. A royal advisor reveals he anticipated this request and has already prepared a list of potential properties. He presents a massive pile of property deeds to the party, offering them their choice. The entire party is stunned by the generous reward, celebrating their successful promotion to S rank. As her teammates celebrate their new status, Sasha politely thanks the advisor for the gift. The advisor then quietly asks Sasha if she is troubled by the news of Heiss's supposed failure. Sasha remains silent, knowing the official report from Igdora confirmed Heiss actually succeeded in retrieving the moongrass. The advisor explains that when Heiss learned of Queen Alcera's grave condition, he chose to disregard his official mission, giving the life-saving moongrass to her sister, Princess Adra. He notes that while Heiss technically failed the request, his contribution to saving Igdora's royalty was undeniable. The advisor adds that the king offered a reward for this deed, but Heiss characteristically turned it down. The king then turns to his advisor, Bonnet, asking what became of the princess after these events. Sasha's teammates listen intently, one remarking on Heiss's complete lack of greed. Bonnet reveals that Princess Adra is now traveling alongside Heiss, much to everyone's surprise. He confirms that the princess has officially left Igdora to pursue the life of an adventurer. The news sends Sasha's party members into a state of utter shock. Sasha herself remains quiet, contemplating whether Heiss intends to form a new party with the elven princess. The scene returns to the guildmaster's office where Heiss is reporting back to Geist. He reacts with disbelief when Geist suggests it's time for him to take a break. The guildmaster confirms that his dungeon investigation request is now officially complete. Heiss protests, shouting that he only managed to clear down to the 60th floor. Geist presents an official document, formally closing the S-rank mission. He explains that floors below 60 will now be handled by hand-picked specialists. Heiss asks for another mission, but Geist informs him there are no other requests available. The guildmaster insists that he should just take a well-deserved rest for once. Geist tells the young adventurer to enjoy his youth, leaving Heiss completely baffled by the suggestion. Prying further, Geist asks if there's a girl he likes, but Heiss flatly denies any romantic interests. Geist continues to tease a flustered Heiss, asking about his relationship with Princess Adra. After enjoying Heiss's reaction, the guildmaster changes the subject, noting his fondness for books. He hands Heiss a flyer, suggesting a place that might pique his interest. Geist explains it's an annual used book fair, a perfect opportunity for Heiss to unwind and find rare tomes. The flyer details the event, located in the Ruzen antique district of the capital, Heibelk. Just as he's about to leave, Princess Adra appears, cheerfully asking if she can join him at the fair. Heiss is taken aback, reminding her they had agreed to part ways after arriving. She simply shrugs off his protest, making it clear she intends to follow him regardless. Resigned to his fate, Heiss realizes he can't seem to shake his new companion. The two arrive at the bustling antique district, ready to explore the crowded book fair. Heiss navigates the bustling crowd, clearly unimpressed by the fair's lively atmosphere. He sighs in annoyance as Adra immediately darts off on her own, leaving him to wander the market alone. Seeking refuge from the crowd, his attention is drawn to a quiet, unassuming bookstore. Inside, he's surrounded by towering shelves, intrigued by the vast collection of old books. His eye catches a particular title, The Adventure Diary of a Legendary S-rank adventurer named Gerald. The unfamiliar name piques his curiosity, and he makes a mental note to look into this adventurer later. Deciding to investigate further, he reaches out to take the intriguing diary from the shelf. But as he reaches for the book, his hand unexpectedly meets another, belonging to a familiar blonde adventurer. Heiss and Sasha stare at each other in mutual surprise, caught in the awkward moment. Their reunion is interrupted when another person approaches, placing a hand on Sasha's shoulder as Adra watches from a distance. A flustered Sasha quickly apologizes for the awkward encounter, pulling her hand back in a panic. Heiss simply looks away, dismissing the moment with a non-committal grunt. The newcomer, one of Sasha's teammates named Reynold, recognizes Heiss with surprise. Reynold immediately jumps to the wrong conclusion, loudly asking if Heiss and Sasha are on a date. He playfully throws an arm around Sasha, teasingly confirming his own assumption as she frantically denies it. The commotion is interrupted as Adra arrives, placing down a heavy bucket full of books. She offers to share her massive haul with Heiss, inviting him to join her for tea. Noticing the tense atmosphere, she peeks over her stack of books and asks if he was just in an argument. Sasha watches the interaction between Heiss and the princess with a look of concern. Fed up with the situation, Heiss announces his departure and turns to leave the bookstore. At a nearby cafe, Adra questions Heiss about Sasha, whom he dismisses as just an old party member. He coldly insists their past is over, and they now have no connection to each other. Adra reveals she investigated his past, confirming that Sasha was his childhood friend. She gently advises him to be more honest with his own heart. The princess bluntly suggests that his feelings for Sasha are actually love. Heiss looks away, cryptically questioning if the feelings might be the other way around. He implies that her thorough investigation must have revealed the whole story. He admits the incident that broke them apart wasn't a simple case of him being framed. A flashback reveals the shocking truth. His old party left him for dead. He grimly questions how he could ever go back to them after such a profound betrayal. Adra asks if he ever wanted to go back, but Heiss quietly confirms that path is forever closed. The scene shifts to the demon Crane, who unleashes a devastating attack on a massive beast. He roars in fury, taunting his fallen opponent with unrestrained rage. The demon vows to make his enemies suffer a slow and painful end. A flashback shows Sasha's horrified expression as she realizes the gravity of their situation. After defeating the monster, Crane notes it was seemingly trying to travel towards the capital, Highbelk. He casually dismisses the encounter, flicking away a piece of debris with a smirk. Crane seems amused by his own power, finding his destructive abilities impressive. He crushes a crystal underfoot, wondering how his enemies will react when they meet again. Back with Sasha's party, their strategist checks the device, pondering their next move against the escaped demon. With a crazed grin, the demon Crane dares his enemies to face him, reveling in his own power. The story shifts forward 1 month, focusing on a banner waving outside a prominent merchant guild. A newspaper article notes the rising fame of Sasha's party, speculating they may soon be recognized as a great clan. A group of young adventurers bursts into the guild, catching the attention of a surprised receptionist. She congratulates the party, 1,000, on their successful promotion to D-rank adventurers. She praises their hard work, though one member's smug grin earns him a sharp glare from his teammate. The annoyed teammate lands a swift chop on his head, cutting his gloating short. The boy, introduced as Loran, nervously laughs, insisting he wasn't taking all the credit. His female teammate scolds him, reminding him that the praise wasn't for him alone. The other members of 1,000, or Kua, Tina, and Matt, stand together, a testament to their shared success. Kua cheerfully mentions how lucky she feels to have been accepted into Sasha's renowned party, Sacred. Tina dryly reminds Loran that he was the one acting like a damsel in distress when he first joined. Kua admits she was also worried, prompting a flustered Loran to joke about his own anxieties. Loran gets starstruck, excitedly realizing he's in the same party as the legendary Sasha, whom everyone admires. He sees this as a golden opportunity, confidently declaring his plan to rocket straight to S rank. His teammate Tina immediately brings him back to reality with a sharp chop, questioning his overconfident declaration. The team stands together as Tina reminds Loran he's not the protagonist of a novel, despite their boisterous celebration. Loran's fanboying is interrupted as he spots the legendary beast tamer Heiss, marveling at his solo climb to S rank. Getting a little too close, Loran questions Heiss's grumpy expression and quickly stammers an apology as he backs away. Heiss glares back, his intimidating presence silencing the young adventurer as he clutches a sign for the laundromat. Loran presents a piece of armor to the receptionist, explaining it was looted from an iron golem. He also offers her a gun, insisting he has no use for the recovered equipment. With a dramatic flourish, he hands over the monster materials for processing as Heiss walks by in the background. The receptionist calmly agrees to confirm the materials he has turned in. Their transaction is interrupted by a frantic guildmaster who orders Heiss to come with him for a royal summons. The young adventurers are left speechless, completely intimidated by the sudden urgency. The scene shifts to the grand hall of the palace, where the king prepares to address the assembled adventurers. Among the summoned heroes is Jiroga-san, the formidable leader of the barbarian clan. Also present is the S-rank adventurer Mamacha, known by the intimidating title Blood Battle. The final powerful figure introduced is Chaos, the smug and confident leader of the Judgment Clan. The king reveals that according to their intelligence, B-rank monsters are now breeding uncontrollably. He specifies the outbreak is happening in the Supreme Stratum Tower, a dungeon near the capital that Heiss once investigated. The king introduces Geist, the formidable guildmaster of the Iron Fist King Merchant Guild. He then gestures to the officially recognized S-rank adventurer, Sasha, also known as the White Knight. Finally, he presents the unofficial S-rank adventurer, Heiss, the Beast Tamer. The king explains the monsters are swarming the lower floors, causing numerous disappearances and forcing a lockdown. With a grim expression, he declares this catastrophic event a great beast stampede, shocking the assembled heroes. This rare phenomenon occurs when a dungeon's population explodes, forcing the monsters to spill out into the world. Geist provides a chilling example, revealing a monster from the 60th floor has now appeared on the 10th. The king then delegates the remainder of the briefing to Geist, who formally accepts the responsibility. Geist explains that with the dungeon's ecosystem collapsing, lower-level monsters will be forced out to seek new territory. He points to a map, revealing the guild's calculations show the monster horde is heading directly for the capital. The barbarian leader Jiroga-san reacts with shock, demanding to know the estimated number of monsters. The king grimly recalls that the capital faced a similar catastrophe 30 years prior. Geist reveals the last stampede, with 20,000 monsters, completely wiped out 3 towns and 7 villages. With a determined look, he declares that their only option now is to unite their forces. He warns that this time, the stampede originates from the far more dangerous Supreme Stratum Tower. The guildmaster gravely admits that the outcome of this impending disaster is completely unpredictable. The other S-rank adventurers react with grim acceptance, realizing the severity of the threat. The king places his trust in Geist, formally asking him to lead the defense against the coming horde. Geist accepts the command, preparing to notify other guilds and request aid from neighboring nations. The king orders his advisor, Bonnet, to mobilize the entire royal army without delay. He declares the kingdom's very survival now rests on the shoulders of everyone in the room. An adventurer firmly places his hand on the table, interrupting the proceedings to offer his own correction. The king finishes his speech, expressing his complete faith in the heroes gathered before him. Heiss and Sasha stand stoically, absorbing the weight of the impending crisis. The other clan leaders begin to discuss their own preparations, agreeing that cooperation is key. Chaos, the leader of Judgment, suggests the clans must maintain constant communication due to the unpredictable threat. He then turns to Sasha, mockingly suggesting they should just kill the dungeon boss instead of waiting for the stampede. Chaos smugly claims the dungeon is far more dangerous than she knows, belittling her recent promotion to S rank. Chaos continues his tirade, now directing his mockery toward the silent, black-cloaked Heiss. Unimpressed, Heiss turns his back and walks away, completely ignoring the other clan leaders. The S-rank adventurer calls after him in disbelief, but Heiss's resolve is unshakable. He pauses at the door, declaring he isn't suited for teamwork before making a dramatic exit. The remaining clan leaders grumble in annoyance, writing off his arrogant behavior as a fatal flaw. The king, however, erupts in laughter, finding the young man's defiant attitude refreshing. Sasha can only stare in disbelief, stunned by Heiss's outright rejection of the joint mission. 10 days later, newspapers across the capital have announced the impending Great Beast Stampede. As a precaution, the Merchant Guild has officially suspended all adventurer requests indefinitely. All signs point to the dungeon, with experts predicting the monster horde will emerge within days. From his balcony, the king rallies the royal knights, preparing them for the inevitable battle. Across the kingdom, civilians begin a mass exodus, fleeing the capital before the horde arrives. While adventurers train and clan leaders strategize, the city's children play, oblivious to the coming storm. The guildmaster and his receptionist watch the preparations with grim expressions, understanding the stakes. A single eye reflects the city's tension, capturing the silent fear gripping the capital. The time for preparation is over as a stark announcement declares the Great Beast Stampede has begun. In a quiet shop, an old man calmly counts his coins, choosing to stay behind despite the danger. A young adventurer questions the old man's decision, wondering why he isn't evacuating with everyone else. The shopkeeper's eyes widen as he recognizes Heiss, recalling that the S-rank adventurer has faced this before. He remembers the last stampede, a catastrophic event that occurred right after he first arrived in the capital. The shopkeeper explains he only survived the last stampede because his family's dream was to run a business in the capital. He sadly recalls that his wife and son, who stayed behind in their hometown, were not so fortunate. The old man recounts the horror of the last stampede, which left nothing of his family to even bury. With a single tear, he explains that his inn is all that remains of his family's soul. Having lost everything, he declares he has nothing left to fear and will protect his family's dream to the end. Heiss interrupts the somber moment, placing a handful of coins on the counter. He pays for his meal and for a night's stay, showing his intention to remain in the city. The scene shifts to the city walls, where a scout reports the approaching horde is estimated at 70,000. A commander bellows the terrifying number again, his expression filled with grim determination. The defenders rally with a cry to protect the capital, the people, and everyone they hold dear. Sasha stands with the royal knights, her expression grim as she prepares for the overwhelming onslaught. A scout on the wall cries out in terror, reporting the horde's true size is not 70,000 but over 100,000. The defenders recoil in horror as the monstrous horde swarms the plains, their sheer numbers utterly overwhelming. A young soldier's courage falters, and even Sasha questions how they can possibly win against such impossible odds. The commander's face fills with despair as the reality of their situation sinks in, realizing they are completely outmatched. But just as all hope seems lost, a lone figure appears on the battlefield. Heiss has arrived.